Mr. McGinley? Mr. Mitchell?
Here.
Mr. Perry?
Here.
Mr. Thornton?
Here.
Mr. Urban? Mr. Lovett?
Here.
Ms. Bowden?
Here, Chris, do you mind? Tim's right outside sitting in that chair. I'm sorry. Oh, he's
sorry.
he's Gavin.
He's done that in the airport.
He was right there. Okay, I hope I didn't send Chris on a wild goose chase. Okay, all right, thanks, Chris. I'm sorry. All right, we can move on though. All right, we have public comment on the proposed ordinance adopting the 2024 fiscal year budget for Luzerne County. Any members of the public that wish to speak? Okay, hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Abstentions, opposed? Okay, the first public hearing is adjourned. Now, we don't start the next one until 5:15.
Go back.
Might spend the night out there.
Oh, yeah. your mics on, please? Yeah, we're gonna have, I'm starting this one now and then we'll have, in 5 minutes, we'll have 10 minutes. Yeah. Okay, it's 5:16. We're gonna call the next public hearing to order. We already did the pledge of allegiance in a moment of silence. We have a roll call, please.
Mr. Bean.
Present.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Mr. McDermott. Here. Mr. McGinley.
Present.
Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Perry.
Here.
Mr. Thornton.
Here.
Mr. Urban.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're trying to do.
Here.
Here. We have public comment on the proposed ordinance amending the 2023 fiscal year budget for Luzerne County and operations. Any members of the public that wish to speak? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? Opposed? All right, adjourned. We'll start the next one at 5:30.
Harry Jonathan.
Recording stopped.
Jonathan, we have time now for
twice. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, it's 5:30. We're gonna call the third public
Recording
hearing
in
to order.
progress.
We're ready to do the pledge of allegiance in a moment of silence. We have roll call, please.
Mr. Venus,
Present.
Mr. LaScavitch,
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Ms. McDermott. Here. Mr. McGinley,
Present.
Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Perry,
Here.
Mr. Thornton,
Here.
Mr. Urban, Mr. Willoughby.
Here.
Ms. Cove.
Here.
11.
We now have public comment on the proposed ordinance placing a government study commission question on the 2024 primary election ballot, designating the number of members to serve on the commission. Any members of the public that wish to speak? Mr. Rabel.
Thank you. Mark Rabel, Hazleton. In regards to the government study question, can I address the timing of the submission as well? Or can that be, because the timing of the submission of the question is pertinent to this as well? Because if I'm not mistaken, under the home rule optional plan law, it says that the submission of the question cannot be outside, because it's one of those few laws that's very time sensitive, that it cannot be submitted to the election board before the 20th Tuesday before the primary election. Now, I understand that the legislature is considering moving up the primary date, but right now it's kind of, up in the air, so to speak, until the governor signs any legislation to move up the primary. So therefore, kind of puts it in that gray area, so to speak, if the council were to vote on this tonight, and then it would put it up for a possible challenge in litigation. So I would just ask to be cognizant of that before you vote on it. Maybe the Office of Law can look into that, that gray area, because I think that it would be subject to challenge if the council were to vote to approve it outside of the realm of the 20th Tuesday before the primary election. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rebo. Any other members of the public? Okay, we have a hand up on the Zoom. Dave? Dave? Nothing. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? Opposed? Meetings adjourned. We have till 6 o'clock.
Recording stopped.
I'd go in my car and take a nap.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't wanna leave it.
It worked out all the time. I just need help getting to where we're stopped.
You're good.
I was able to figure out what I was doing.
Okay. They have a half hour. Do you want to reset that? Sure.
All your mics are still on, and Kevin, go say a prayer for the Phillies.
They're down the weekend.
Thanks. What is it? on. All right, it's 6:01. We're going to call the voting session to order. We already did the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Could I have a roll call, please? Ms.
Recording in
Lawrence?
progress.
Mr. Venus,
Present.
Mr. Venus. Mr. LaScavitch.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Ms. McDermott.
Here.
Mr. McGinley.
Present.
Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Perry.
Present.
Mr. Thornton.
Here.
Mr. Urban. Mr. Willoughby.
Here.
Ms. Hope.
Here.
10-11 with Mr. Urban, I believe he's out in the lobby.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have two proclamations, well, several proclamations, but I'll mention them in two separate groups. The first is there was an employee recognition event held in the Rotunda before the council meeting today for employees that had 40 and 41 years of service. So we'd like to congratulate them and thank them for their service to the county. We presented the proclamations at that event, but I'll briefly mention their names. We have Linda Casey, 40 years, Robert Petro, also 40 years, Cheryl Stevenson, she was not able to be present today, but 40 years, and Nancy Pellets, 41 years. Thank you all for your service and congratulations. And Manager Kokomo did put a really nice ceremony together for them earlier at 4 o'clock in the Rotunda. Next, we have a proclamation. Mr. McGinley presented this last week at an event that was held here at the courthouse, no empty seat. And I'll read it briefly. Whereas across our country and here in the county of Luzerne, domestic violence traumatizes victims, endangers children, harms families, affects workplaces, threatens communities, and crosses all racial, social, economic, and cultural boundaries. And whereas it is the goal of the county of Luzerne to reduce the incidents and effects of domestic violence on its citizens and to increase public awareness of this problem. And whereas the county of Luzerne urges all citizens to recognize the epidemic of domestic violence and to join in support of programs which help alleviate domestic violence. And whereas the county of Luzerne supports the coordinated and knowledgeable response to instances of domestic violence by first responders, service providers such as Domestic Violence Service Center and the criminal justice system. Now therefore, we, the Luzerne County Council, do hereby acknowledge the problem of domestic violence, appreciate the difficult yet outstanding work which responders accomplish in fighting the problem, urge all residents of Luzerne County to be aware of the problem of domestic violence and its impact on our lives, and proclaim the month of October in the year 2023 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Luzerne County. Any deletions?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? Opposed? Agenda is adopted. We now have public comment on agenda items only. Mr. Griffin?
Council, fellow citizens, Greg Griffin, Swoyersville. Agenda night, item number 8. It's concerning the LRTA exemption, and it says a temporary exemption. I understand it's 10 years. I'm not sure if I'm right, but I don't know what temporary means. I know that KOZ is generally 10 years. The tax break you're giving these corporations. They come in and build, which is good. They possibly could be bringing in thousands of employees, which is going to cause our housing to be even more desperate condition, because there's not enough houses to rent now. There's not enough affordable homes to rent now. And I think it was very good that the Miracle Corporation did mention at the last meeting that they are going to be partnering with council on helping build houses for employees. Now, we don't need $350,000 condos, but we need affordable mortgaged homes for these workers coming in, and also for our county citizens who are going to be working at these large LRTA and KOZ locations. So council has to continue, when they grant these 10-year temporary tax breaks to KOZ corporations, eligible corporations, and LRTA eligible corporations, council has to ask these corporations to be partners with them, to be partners with the county, because our citizens, they can't afford $1,200 or $1,400 for half a double. Now, you bring in 3,000 outside workers, once the buildings get completed and the jobs are there, it's going to be an epidemic. It's going to be very, very bad for families struggling to pay rents, families struggling to find affordable homes to purchase. So I thank council for granting these LRTAs and KOZs, because it does bring in living wage jobs. But council also has a responsibility to the citizens who live here now and have to go out and look for a place to rent. Or the landlord says, hey, the rent just went up $300 because I just got a LRTA employee come in and they're willing to pay that. So we have to look out for our citizens here, the new citizens that are coming too. And I appreciate council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rabel.
Mark Rabo, Hazleton, in regards to number 8, I would like to thank Mr. Miracle on the answering the question about the traffic study and the watershed area being affected in the outlying portions. He answered the questions, my concerns about that, because I asked the question about the PennDOT, if there's a PennDOT traffic study, and there was one, and they're going to extend the inbound and outbound lanes by 1 lane on each end, which is a good thing for, especially because of all the commercial truck traffic congestion that will be, obviously put in place because of the new construction, new buildings. Also the watershed area, and I discussed this with Mr. Miracle as far as, and also to coordinate with the Hazel Township officials and the Hazleton officials, and maybe even Schuylkill County on the back end, because of potential wildlife displacement for vector control, because it will go into residential areas, because people are already, because of the LRTA in Birch Knoll, which was the area last year up by the other end of the Beltway 424. There was wildlife, there's families of skunks, possums, other wildlife going into those residential areas. I'm sure that, families that are living in those areas don't particularly want to see wildlife. I mean, they're not, too bothered, like upset about, but they're obviously, it impacts them, especially if there's skunks roaming around through garbage. So I just wanted to make that clear. And for the Wyoming Valley area YMCA, I urge council to strongly support the YMCA, because they not only take in for the Pittston and the Wilkes-Barre YMCA, but also Freeland and Hazleton YMCA, considering Hazleton YMCA doesn't have a building, and they came in front of the redevelopment authority, the YMCA, for Camp Dennison, which takes care of the children in the lower half of Luzerne County, and they're doing a phenomenal job. So my hat goes off to them, and also for the multimodal. I believe that needs to be made into a transportation district, between Hazleton and Wilkes-Barre and Pittston, in terms of leveraging that, similar to a TIF, but it's a transportation revitalization improvement district, or TRID, that should be coordinated. And on the study commission, there should be, I looked on previous, the law. It turns out that the submission could be for the amendment is 20 Tuesdays, not the general study question, which would be no later than 13 Tuesdays. So sorry about the mix up, because I had it convoluted with Mr. Lovich's ordinance. So I apologize for that. So
Thank you, Mr. Rabel. Any other members of the public that are here that wish to speak on agenda items only? Thank you.
I'll bring him.
Yeah, it says agenda items, so we'll get him. Eugene Wallace. Yes. There, yeah. I'll get it. Municipality. Okay, thank you. Mr. Wallace, if you could just state the municipality you reside in.
County seat.
Thank you.
It would be either the triangle, the Iron Triangle, or Rolling Mill Hills.
Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah, Wilkes-Barre.
Wilkes-Barre is good. That's good. I got it. Go ahead.
Okay. Ms. Chairperson, county officials, and welcome guests. I'm Eugene Francis Wallace. I was born and raised in Wilkes-Barre in Plains Township, and I've been out in the Middle West for 46 years. I came home after my wife passed away, and I've been in the county seat about 6 years. So I guess my basic question, I don't know where you are. I guess I got to get on top of it more about on your website, but my main question is, I think that the council should go back to three county commissioners instead of the 11 they have now, because it'd be easier to solve problems, in my opinion, with the 3 instead of the 11. It's just like the old adage of too many hands spoil a soup. So that's basically my only thought. I'll try to get more involved in the affairs of the county there. I do have one last thing, Madam Chair, if I could have 15 seconds to make a job appeal.
Unfortunately, this part of the agenda is only for agenda items only.
Okay.
At the end of the meeting, if you want to stick around, we allow non-agenda item discussion if you want to wait till then.
Okay, will they call me again?
Yeah, I'll mark you
will.
down as a non-agenda item too. Yes, I will.
Okay, all right.
All
Go
right.
Phillies.
Yeah, thank you. Any other members of the public that wish to speak on agenda items? All right, we'll move on to the Zoom. We have Mr. Griffith with his hand up.
Yes, good evening, council. The only agenda item that I wanted to speak about is the item number 2 and item number 14. First of all, on item number 2, this is a step in a positive direction for the county with this consolidation to move Kronos and ADP over to New World. We have a good team of about 5 or 6 people that are committed to do this task. We have everything in place to get that done, and it will save the county a significant amount of money over the long run in the 2 software programs that we currently pay to do the payroll, and we'll still have money left over in order to hire somebody that could actually help to make sure that we don't have any issues in the payroll department by only having 1 person. So this is a step in the positive direction, and I encourage council to vote in the affirmative for that funding. It's actually coming from interest money that we've earned, which is another positive for the county. It doesn't actually come from the general fund. And to Mr. Thornton's credit, when we raised the issue back in the day about getting all our bank accounts into high interest bearing accounts, this is where this money's coming from. So kudos to Mr. Thornton for his forward thinking on that. On item number 14, the Government Study Commission, I wasn't able to get in under the public comment on the other session, but I just want to point out to council that Mr. Rabel is correct on the time frame, that it is 20 weeks prior. Now, the current election is dated for April, I think it's 23rd. That will be the date unless the House of Representatives and the Senate change that date. So 20 Tuesdays before that is the date when this should be put on the agenda to be approved and introduced. And the introduction's fine. I don't believe council has the purview to approve this at this time, but that's something for legal to decide if we're still within our time frame. But the commissioners, when they did this, was done in January 14th of 2009, which was within the 20-week time frame. So if you want to use that as a guideline, that's what they did. And the ordinance does not state how many people are going to be on the actual study commission. Hopefully, council will make the amendment before you adopt this ordinance to determine how many people are actually going to be on this commission. Will it be 7? Will it be 9? Or will it be 11? That needs to be determined. So the people that want to run for the office of government study commission members, we know how many people can circulate petitions. So just consider that when you look at that, those items on your agenda. And I appreciate it very much. And I appreciate the time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Controller Griffith. Another person with their hand up, Dave. Dave?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Please
Okay.
just state your name and the municipality you reside in.
Yes, Dave Chomp from West Pittston. I'd like to comment on item 14, the vote to put the Government Study Commission question on the ballot. As someone who was active in campaigning for the home rule system of government in both 2003 and 2010, I think back to the county commissioners voting to allow the same question on the ballot back then. So it's only fair that council vote to allow this question on the ballot and let the voters' voices be heard. I do believe that overall, the Home Rule Charter has accomplished most of the stated objectives since its adoption, especially in trying to minimize politics in the everyday operation of the county, increase transparency, and basically giving more people the opportunity to be active participants. I have heard some of you lament the fact that having 11 council members is too unwieldy and messy, but I don't think that's necessarily a function of the number 11, but more so an outcome of organization and leadership. Now, as far as the Government Study Commission, I think that 7 members would be a workable size if you wanted to go with that number. And finally, I think everyone realizes that there is an inherent risk in putting this question on the ballot because, let's face it, there are certain factions in our county who are well-financed and would love to see us go back to the 3 commissioners where influence is much more easily controlled. I think that would be a huge mistake. This is a solid form of government. It could use some basic modifications to make it more efficient and, of course, compatible with state law so that there are no conflicts. I think it should also be mentioned that if we were still a 3-commissioner setup, most of you that are sitting up there right now would not consider running because of the campaign resources needed. So again, this is one of the main attractions of Home Rule and 11 members on council, is to give the everyday tax-paying Joe Schmo citizen the opportunity to be a part of county government. So again, I recommend voting yes for the Government Study Commission with 7 members. Thank you so much, council.
Thank you, Mr. Chomp. Any other members of the public that wish to speak? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? Opposed?
No.
Minutes are adopted. Moving on. Number 1, motion to adopt ordinance amending the 2023 fiscal year budget for Luzerne County's operations.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Sorry. Ms. McDermott.
Yes.
Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Terry.
Yes.
Mr. Gordon.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Willoughby.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Motion passes. Number 2, motion to adopt resolution authorizing the use of interest earned on American Rescue Plan Act funds for the New World Management System software upgrade.
Motion. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. McDermott.
Yes.
Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Willoughby.
Yes.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Motion passes. Number 3, motion to adopt resolution approving the recommendations of Zigman and Company Limited regarding security bond limits to protect Luzerne County against risks of loss for calendar year 2024.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Mr. McDermott.
Yes.
Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Willoughby.
Yes.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
Vote.
Yes. Motion passes. Number 4, motion to adopt resolution approving the sales of certain parcels of property held in repository by Elite Revenue LLC, acting as the Luzerne County Tax Claim Bureau.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. McDermott.
Yes.
Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Willoughby.
Yes.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. Bo.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Motion passes. Number 5, motion to adopt resolution approving an agreement with Newport Township for Luzerne County Treasurer to collect Newport Township.
Motion.
Second.
I think it was Wilovich and then Nicole. Roll call.
And then Carl.
Jumping in Carl.
Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Willoughby.
Yes.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. McDermott.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Motion passes. Number 6, motion to adopt resolution authorizing the county manager to execute a lease agreement amendment between Luzerne, Wyoming County Area Agency on Aging and the supervisors of Exeter Township.
Motion. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Willoughby.
Yes.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Motion passes. Number 7, motion to adopt resolution approving a contract with ETA Insurance Group as consultant broker for employee benefit services.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Willoughby.
Yes.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Mr. McDermott.
Yes.
Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Ms. Bo.
Yes. Motion passes. Number 8, motion to adopt resolution providing for temporary exception from real property taxation under the Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance Act for Hazel Township.
Motion.
Second. Jonathan D.
Yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Willoughby.
Yes.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Mr. McDermott.
Yes.
Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Ms. Bo.
Yes. Number 9, motion or introduction of ordinance amending the capital plan budget for Luzerne County operations.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Willoughby.
Yes.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. McDermott.
Yes.
Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Ms. Bo.
Yes. Motion passes. Number 10, motion to adopt resolution approving a modification to an American Rescue Plan Act funds awarded project. It's the Greater Wyoming Valley Area YMCA.
Motion. Second.
Roll call. Yes.
Mr. Willoughby.
Yes.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. McDermott.
Yes.
Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Ms. Bo.
I'll abstain. I abstained from their original application due to a professional relationship, so I'll abstain from this as well.
We have 10 yes.
Motion passes. Number 11, motion to adopt resolution approving a modification to an American Rescue Plan Act funds awarded project. It's Wyoming Valley Habitat for Humanity.
Motion.
Second.
Lombardo. Roll call.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Mrs. McDermott.
Yes.
Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Mr. Barton.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Lovett.
Yes.
Ms. Swope.
Yes. Motion passes. Number 12, motion to adopt resolution approving a modification to an American Rescue Plan Act funds awarded project, Wyoming Borough 2022 sewer enhancement.
Second.
I think Greg got it.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. McDermott. Yes. Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Mr. Barton.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Lovett.
Yes.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Ms. Swope.
Yes. Motion passes. Number 13, motion to adopt resolution requesting a multimodal transportation fund grant from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation.
Motion. Second.
Lombardo, roll call.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. McDermott.
Yes.
Mr. McGinley.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
Yes.
Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Lovett.
Yes.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
Ms. Swope.
Yes. Motion passes. Number 14, motion to adopt ordinance. It's worded strangely. Motion to adopt ordinance for council to place a government study commission question on the 2024 primary election ballot and designating the number of members to serve on said commission. Whoever makes the motion, please fill in the blank.
So move.
Second.
Wait, no.
So move with the number of members?
Yeah,
7.
okay. You second? Okay, can we have a roll call?
Before you have the roll call, there was some question about 20 days or 2 days. Do we have an issue with that or is that? We're good. Thank you.
Okay, roll call to the motion, and a second with 7 members.
McDermott.
Yes.
McGinley.
No.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Perry.
No.
Mr. Thornton.
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
Yes.
Mr. Lovett.
No.
Mr. Venus.
Yes.
Mr. LaScavitch.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. Swope.
Yes. Motion passes. We now have public comment. I'll go through my slips. Jimmy Walsh.
Jamie Walsh from Ross Township. A couple of weeks ago, I was here. Our organization requested video evidence of the last election when we ran out of ballots at the 44 polling locations. And we also asked for surveillance on where they were stored. The county denied us and we appealed it to the Office of Open Records in Harrisburg. The Office of Open Records told the county they had to provide it. It was then brought to Luzerne County Judge, who ruled in our favor as well. And now Ms. Crockamo wants to hire or did hire a high-powered, expensive attorney from Philadelphia to waste more taxpayer money. And I'm asking council, what really irritates me is at the Board of Election meeting, they say they don't even review the video at all themselves. So why even record anything if we're not gonna, number one, in-house someone look at it and make sure there's nothing nefarious going on? And secondly, that is public information and we are entitled to see it. So I'm asking council to ask Ms. Crockamo to withdraw the case with the Philadelphia attorney, because it's very uncommon for the next court to overrule what happened here in Luzerne County. So why are we going to waste anywhere between $15,000 to $45,000 of taxpayer money? I think it's irresponsible of her. I think it's ignorant. That is rightly ours to see. We want to know why we ran out of ballots in 44 areas in the last election. So I'm asking you to either take some type of corrective action against Ms. Crockamo or ask her to remove it and provide us what we were already ruled in favor of twice, instead of letting her go on her rampage and waste more taxpayer money.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh.
Any comments on that?
Mr. Urban?
Legal question, as far as initiating lawsuits, wouldn't that have to come before us?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said like initiating lawsuits, wouldn't that come before council?
We were sued and then we took it.
Litigation, so
We didn't share it.
we didn't initiate it.
You just defend it.
And we can go into executive session. We'll explain. I won't do it.
I understand.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Walsh.
Nothing, huh?
No, we'd have to discuss.
Well,
it in
it would have to-
executive Session, so that we can't discuss
I
it here.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I'm asking for. It's just some kind of like,
Okay,
feedback.
fine.
Mr. Griffin.
Okay.
Okay. Julius Zuckerman.
I am Joey's Zuckerberg from the Boca area. I noticed last time I was here and you guys got that big grant, $122 billion. All right, now it's the citizens' right to know where that money went to. Because it sure didn't go to us citizens. So where did all that $122 billion go? I would like an answer. I would like proof to where that money all went.
Mr. Zuckerman, are you?
Did it go in your guys' pocket or what?
Are you referring to the ARPA money that was awarded to the county?
Yeah, I think that's wrong.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
112 million.
yeah,
yeah.
so,
Where
so
did it all go?
that's, it wasn't that large. But there's an entire spreadsheet. It's all made public, all the grants we were giving out. That money went to, businesses, agencies,
What business?
municipality. There's an entire list. It's all on our website. We can get you the list if you want.
100 some? 113 agencies.
Yep, and then,
Because even non-organization
and then,
applied and we haven't seen nothing.
and then portions of the money, that's what I'm getting to. Yeah, portions of those dollars did go to CEO, the Commission on Economic Opportunity for Programs.
They don't even help the citizens.
Well, we gave out 112 million to the citizens, 112
Where?
million. What?
Where? Because I'll tell you, half of these organizations, nonprofit organizations that help people in recovery have not got nothing. Why?
Almost every organization that applied did get funding from the
I'm
county.
not sure where you got your information from, but we gave it out
Like
to the
New
citizens.
Roots, they help people in recovery. We haven't got nothing. I mean,
They were,
then you got this cleaning crew that had been with this council for many years. All right. Thank God for New Roots for going around with the cleaning crew, with Mr. Griffin and others to clean up everybody's illegal dumping. I mean, come on. I mean, you guys got the money, start using it. So we don't have, us citizens don't have to go out and do your guys' job.
thank you.
For the dumping. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just for the record, it's my understanding that the majority of that money was obligated to 100 and some groups, nonprofits, small business, whatnot. I think was New Roots one of them.
New Roots was a grant that we gave.
So we did give money to New Roots, just for the record.
once it was eligible, anybody who was eligible for Mr. Mitchell's plan there received funding.
So that money did go out. Okay.
Well, they have to complete the paperwork.
Right.
Yeah, it's a drawdown process, or they can get, you know, it's depending on how they want to use it. Yeah.
I just want to clarify that for the public too.
And I believe they already have reports that were due so far, just to see how the money is being spent. I think they were due at the beginning of the month. Okay, David Stetzel.
Stetler?
That is correct. I apologize. Stettler.
Correct.
Got it.
David Stettler, Hunlock Township. I'm a little concerned already. We're having problems with the election. It's been almost a year since the last county manager was removed, and we've got ballots errors, missing security envelopes for mail-in ballots. Frustrates me every time I hear county officials, including some on the council, election board, and even the DA state there were problems were resolved in 2022 with the paper. Hunlock Township never received paper, and we didn't have emergency ballots. We ran out of those, and we went to provisional ballots, and we made copy after copy after copy of provisional ballots. Then came the 2023 primary. As I was approaching the voting, I was told, you don't even need to go in, there's no ballots. I thought, they got to be just kidding me. And I walked in, we had no ballots. They had run out already in the morning. Election board or somebody claimed that, well, that was because we followed Act 66. They did not follow Act 66. Specifically says 10% more ballots than the last two off-year elections. And we had run out in the morning, and we did not have an abnormal amount of votes, which is what people claimed. I could be wrong, but this seems to be the only county that seems to have this problem year after year after year. Somebody said to me that, well, it's because it's a large county. We didn't used to have this problem. I've never seen this many problems. Even when COVID hit, our ballots were incorrect. The instructions said to fill in the oval on the left-hand side. There were no ovals on the left-hand side. So these problems just keep continuing. I think we have a severe problem. I don't know where it actually is, but it doesn't seem like anybody in this county is doing anything about it. You know, like I said, we removed the last county manager, and here we are. So my question is, what happened to Attorney Gates' manual that he was supposed to set up for this county? Is that done?
If you want to finish your 3 minutes, and then we could address questions. Yeah.
And if so, who reviewed it? And as far as the contractors, we always seem to blame the contractors. Do we have penalties for the contractors? Do they cover the costs for any problems we do have in this county? I mean, it just seems strange to me that we use, I don't know if it's using the same contractors over and over, but there ought to be penalties involved if these contractors can't get the jobs done. We should not be disenfranchised with our votes because people do walk away. They can't come back because it worked.
Thank you. I believe some of your questions would be directed to the election board, but Ms. Coco, did you want to address any of them?
Well, I'll take the last question first, without going into detail, because I don't publicly discuss any kind of potential litigation. Our vendor for the secrecy ballots has been put on notice. We are following the proper channels based on the contract and how we proceed. Your first question was, could you just repeat it again?
About the manuals?
About the manual. Attorney Gates meets with the bureau staff every week. The manual is not completed at this time. We weren't projecting it that it would be completed prior to the November election. It will be completed soon after. He will be here on election day. And when the final product is produced by Attorney Gates, we will share it with the board, and we will share it with council for review.
Thank you. Mr. Rabo?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With respect to the work session agenda under number 2, Hazleton City Hall. I'm a lifelong Hazleton City resident. I have come to these meetings since 2012, and it was because of the late attorney Pasco Shivo, God rest his soul. He said to me, he says, you know, you're doing such a good job, Mark, at the city meetings. Why don't you come to the county meetings? Just go to 2 meetings, you know? And I said, okay, Pasco, okay, Attorney Shivo. All right, I'll do 2 meetings, but don't hold me to any more. So that was the catalyst of how things started. And it just boggles my mind that, you know, ever since the city councils and the county council meetings, I mean, I've seen the patterns with previous Hazleton mayors since the beginning of home rule, that every now and again, a Hazleton mayor does a political stunt where they don't even inform city council, that they're going to do something with the county. The perfect example was the security savings building. Mr. McGinley and Mr. Urban were here at the time when the previous mayor wanted the security savings building for the downtown, tried to negotiate the outstanding debt from the Broad Street Exchange, as Hazleton City is a secondary lien holder of. He tried to get the debt, negotiate the debt removal from that in exchange for the security savings building. Manager Lawton was considering it only if, and also council at the time would only consider it if Hazleton City council had the resolution, and the mayor brought that resolution to city council. Now we're at this point, same thing is happening. Hazleton City Council was not given notification until Friday, this past Friday of this. So months, and it was in the local paper, in the Hazleton paper, that the manager, Ms. Pecora, was working with the mayor on this, and Hazleton City Council was not given any kind of heads up, notification, nothing. So I understand that the mayor unilaterally, might I add, moved the Hazleton Police Department out of Hazleton City Hall into the building he used to purchase with the ARP money, which is on the corner of 15th and 309, which are both state roads. Now, my question to council, and Madam Chair, I think you need to find this out from Budget and Finance. Was this from the county's portion of the ARP, from the 1 million that was given to the city? Or was this from the Hazleton City's portion of the ARP? I would look into that if I were you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rebo.
Thank you.
Eugene Wallace?
He's the gentleman who was outside.
He was outside, yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Gotta be a good man.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Council, County Council members, and welcome. Yes, I guess the only thing I have is personal. I could doing this into a job fair. If you do know anybody that needs a mature boomer, you know, let me know. I'll be out in the hall. I did apply for the mature worker program, and I'm waiting to hear back on it. So I'll be waiting in the hall. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Any other members of the public that wish to speak? Sure. Mr. Grantide.
Evening, Joe Grantide, Plains. I worked as a poll worker last election. One of the first ones to point out that we were short on paper. At the end of the evening, my job was to seal the machine with the security seal. And I noticed that with the security seal, voting boxes could be opened and paper could be added or taken out without disturbing the security seal. 4 times I tried to get somebody to look at it, and finally I did. And I gave a demonstration over at Penn Place. And the minute I went to show somebody what happened, they told me to stop, that they knew about this problem, right? So I didn't open up the box, and I tried to discuss it with some of the detectives that were there. And I said, you know, the first thing I would do is I would start looking to see who was the last person to touch it. Who was the first person in the building morning of the elections. And one of the investigators said, don't tell me how to do our job. Well, somebody needs to tell you guys how to do your job. We have every right to see those videos and see what happened to those machines. We still haven't discovered what happened with the paper. We got an explanation, but it seems like it's not a good enough one from the district attorney. I just want to say that if we can't be transparent with the things that we are entitled to from our leaders, then we need new leadership. And we're going to get the leadership we need one way or the other. But it's time for this county to get some credibility back and release the video of what happened on election night at the warehouses and in transit. That's all I got.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Sure. The woman, I can't see you. Yep.
I'm going to give my speech to somebody out here.
Mary Ann Potsko from Hanover Township. To piggyback on what
Mary Ann Potsko, Hanover Township.
Yes, just to piggyback and thank you for taking my comments on Mr. Walsh and the gentleman that just spoke. When I came in here today, and I know everybody else that came into the courthouse today had to go through a scanner. And I had to put my purse on the cart and everything, and it all had to be scanned. Now, if I had come in and said to them, I'm not doing that, I think all of you would agree, the first thing you would say is, what do you have to hide? So I'm really asking, what does the county have to hide in not releasing those videos that we have every right to see? And the second thing I would like to point out, for the first time in my life, I did serve as a judge of elections this past spring in the election. I was about 2 weeks ago working in the cemetery, actually, just working on some stones, and I get a phone call and it says Luzerne County. And the person says to me, and I unfortunately did not get the name because I was totally stunned, but she did say to me, I had a complaint that you refused to sign a provisional ballot for a gentleman in November of 2022. I wasn't working in November of 2022. I have never worked a poll except in 2023. And I said, excuse me, I wasn't even there. Well, I had a complaint about this and I had to check it out. Again, I was not working that poll at that time. Now, it seems to me if you're going to call someone and ask them to explain something, you would know who you were speaking with. And it seems very simple that you would be able to check the records to find out whether or not whoever was the judge of elections at that time. So it really kind of, I felt very disheartened by the whole conversation because I thought, what do we know? Where is the accountability here? Why would you call someone? It was my first experience. I didn't have any complaints. We had a very, very good time doing what we did that day. And I was very disheartened by that phone call. So again, as counsel, and I respectfully request that you look into this appeal, which is going to cost taxpayers a lot of money for no reason at all. This information should be provided to you, to any citizen of this county. And I would appreciate it if you would take this to heart and please show us that we really do have transparency and have the rights that we are entitled to. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Potsko. Any other members of the public? Sure. Just say your name and your municipality.
My name is Nicholas Stark. I live in Hanover Township. I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I will say that As a former military person, I think that democracy is very important, and having as many people on the council that we do is a representation of democracy. Please do not bring it back down to 3 people. That would bring corruption back to this council that we don't need. Okay, the 11 of you seem like you do a pretty good job from everything that I've seen since I've been out of the military. So I thank you for your jobs. Continue to do your jobs very well. But I also do agree with transparency. I'm not an election denier or any of that kind of stuff, but if there was any sort of malice of elections or any of that kind of stuff, we as the people do have the right to see those videos. Okay, I'm not saying that I believe in any of the election denying stuff. I just want the people who ask for that type of stuff to be able to see it when they ask for it. That is transparency. That is democracy at its finest. People with a voice, that is how democracy works. If we go back to 3 people, I know that my voice will not be heard anymore because 3 people will be corrupted a lot easier than 11. Okay. And as a person who believes fully in democracy, I might want to work in the council at one point in my life, but not if it's going to be 3 people, because I know I can't afford that. I work a 9-to-5 job, just like most of the people in this county. So with that being said, please keep it at least 11. Do not go back down to 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm Mike Potsko, Hanover Township. I'm gonna piggyback off everybody else that's pretty concerned by the fact that the county will not give us the footage that we were requesting on a right to know. If the public has a right to see that footage, the Office of Open Records has ruled in our favor, a judge has ruled in our favor. It doesn't make any sense to not provide that documentation and the footage. I would just like to know if anybody on the council was aware that the county was appealing this to the Commonwealth Court and hiring an attorney from Philadelphia to fight to prevent us from seeing footage that we're allowed to see. And that's the question that I had. Was anybody aware that this was happening?
Are you finished with your comments, Mr.
That's all I have, yes.
It was brought up to us in the past, and then we had discussed earlier that we will schedule an executive session to discuss it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Just for the record, I mean, like, I know I had 2 angry phone calls myself from my own family members. Well, my dad's wife called me fuming because she got the wrong ballot in the mail. My dad got the wrong absentee ballot in the mail as well in Wilkes-Barre. I don't know what kind of mismatch, in the files occurred, but besides maybe data being transmitted wrong, but it's disheartening when I have 2 family members that call me saying that there's another screw up. Angry, obviously. I know I called Ramilda about it, and I think in the future maybe we need to look at another security mechanism, because even though you tell people to destroy that old ballot, they can keep it, put it in another secrecy envelope with a brand new barcode label and send it in, and then there could be an overvote or an undervote in another district. Not to say that that could happen, but it could happen. Maybe the Board of Elections needs to think about putting unique serial numbers on the ballots, or even the administration. Putting a unique serial number on there, having a pool of serial numbers that get mixed up. You can't really attach it to the name, but if there's a recall on ballots, one of those ballots were to come in to kick it out at the machine level. That way that ballot's been spoiled and is not going to be counted because it's part of a batch of serials that were then pulled from the record. So that's a suggestion for the administration, for the Board of Elections, look into additional security, because I was thinking about this. I mean, even though you spoil the barcode, if I hold on to that ballot, I get a brand new envelope, get a new secrecy envelope, I could technically vote in that precinct and ward in that secrecy envelope, send it in, because by the time you cut it open, shuffle the deck, that ballot's it's still live. It's gonna go through the machine and get counted in the wrong district or wrong ward, which in a local election, 1 or 2 votes can matter. So that's just a suggestion. Let's look at additional security mechanisms in place. And hopefully we put more protocols in place so that kind of stuff doesn't happen again. It's now like 3 years where we've had mistakes, and we really need to look at the process inside now. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other members of the public that wish to speak? Nope, we have hands up on the Zoom. Sorry. Mr. Carr? Jason Carr? You'll have to unmute. Okay, we'll try again. Dave Chomp?
Hello, Dave Chomp from West Pittston. Good evening, Madam Chair and Council. I'd like to offer comment on the Luzerne County Community College Board of Trustees and the recent appointment of John Udicek as president of the college. I know a little bit about education, being a teacher for 25 years. And in my career, I've had to invest thousands of dollars, countless hours in continuing education in order to retain my certifications and put myself in position to earn a decent salary. I also remember for the first 5 years of my career, having to drive an hour and 15 minutes one way to a job because
Excuse me, Mr. Chomp.
Yes.
Excuse me. I apologize for the interruption. It is a non-agenda item, but it still has to be a council-related item, and the appointment of John Udicek is not an action of council.
But I disagree because you appoint the Board of Trustees who appointed Mr. Udicek. So to me, this is very, very much related to county business.
Okay. All right. Carry on.
I also remember the first 5 years of my career having to drive an hour and 15 minutes one way to a job because I refused to compromise myself in order to get a job at a local school district. Eventually, I did get a job closer to home, completely on my own merit, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So as a taxpayer and educator, when I see someone like John Udicek be hired as our next college president, despite having no education credentials, degrees, or work experience, I think it should be scrutinized. Out of 40 applicants who most likely have numerous credentials and robust experience, our Board of Trustees chooses a 24-year legislator with zero experience in the field. I think this is an embarrassment. I think it's an affront to the faculty, students, and taxpayers of the county, and it should not go unchallenged. And I especially feel bad for the applicants who dedicated their entire careers to the profession, only to see all that work and commitment go out the window because a political board makes a political hire. Personally, I think these 13 board members who voted for this, they should resign their seats. As they have demonstrated, they cannot be trusted to act in the best interests of the college and the taxpayers. And if they don't resign, don't reappoint them to another term. The Home Rule Charter was designed to eradicate these types of political hires. In the future, let's make sure that when we're interviewing candidates for these boards, we ask them where they stand on patronage hiring practices. And to close, I'd like to thank board members Paul DeFable and Holly Evanosky for voting no on the hiring. And I'd like to commend Mr. Urban for speaking out against the appointment. With our infamous history of nepotism and cronyism, I feel that council should lead this charge, send a loud message to the community, especially our children, that the government will base all hiring practices based on merit, experience, and appropriate credentials, not who you know or who you owe a favor to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John. Thanks. Thank you. Mr. Carr, Jason Carr.
Hello, Kendra. Can you hear me?
I could hear you, yes.
Okay, Jason Carr, Saylorsburg, Pennsylvania. I would like to ask Manager Crocomo and this council to stop taking advantage of the taxpayers of Luzerne County. I would like to let the voting public and taxpayers know tonight that in 2021, the county ran a $3.6 million surplus. In 2022, the county ran a $2.7 million surplus, county budget surplus. That's over a 2-year period was a $6.3 million surplus. In 2023, this county manager and this council increased property taxes by 3%. Your property taxes, the voting public and the taxpayers. Tonight, congratulations, Bob. You just received a $20 million tax abatement, big tax break. Whereas the citizens of Luzerne County got a 3% increase from the same council. Something seems to be drastically wrong. The county received $112 million through the American Rescue Plan Fund. Under the Matt Mitchell plan, who's up for re-election in 2 weeks, dispersed $55 million to friends and family members throughout the county of all the political junkies. And what rightfully so, the gentleman asked earlier, who received the money? You know who received the money? Romilda's brother-in-law got $85,000 from the American Rescue Plan Fund. Something seems to be drastically wrong in this county. This county gave $8 million to the Luzerne Levy Authority and $2.5 million to the Wyoming Valley Sanitary Authority. And approximately 2 months ago, Mr. McGinley said letters were going to be written on behalf of the taxpayers to have a discount for those monthly bills. And no one ever wrote a letter. No one, not one single person on that council wrote a letter on behalf of the taxpayers of the property taxpayers of this county to get a discount for a simple $55 bill. Neither did that manager, Crocomo. Something seems to be drastically wrong in Luzerne County. And Mr. Miracle walks in and gets a $20 million tax abatement tonight. And we're stuck holding the bill. And no one could write a letter to try to get us a $5 discount off a bill? You should all be ashamed of yourselves. You don't represent us. You represent the man there tonight that got the $20 million tax break. And stop playing games with us. You're an embarrassment, Manager Crocomo.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. There's a phone number with their hand up. I'm not sure who it is.
There was a letter written.
Yes.
And there was signatures of all the other council people who passed that. So that's incorrect information. You just heard.
Thank you.
I have to also point out another incorrect statement that Mr. Carr made. I was not employed by the county when the ARPA funds were reviewed, addressed, and awarded. I was not, I want to be clear, it's not the acting county manager. I was not in the solicitor's office. I was working in the private sector. I had nothing at all to do with the ARPA awards.
Thank you, Ms. Kokomo. If we're correcting statements, could I correct one as well? We didn't send $55 million to our friends and families, just to make that clear. Okay. Yeah.
And one other thing, I think I heard Mr. Carr say that Ms. Crocomo and this county council voted to increase taxes 3% last year for this year. I don't believe she was here, and I don't believe she was employed at the county, and she really had no part of any of that. So there's a lot of misinformation there. I respect Mr. Carr's comments all the time. I like to hear everybody's comments, but when they're that inaccurate, it's meant to mislead the public. So
it was also 2.99, not 3.
Can I say something to that?
Sure.
$55 million that did go out through a plan the council approved. Overwhelming majority of it went to emergency services, infrastructure projects, nonprofits, low-income children, food projects, the most destitute citizens in our entire county. This is where most of those funds went to. And I'm not, if there's something, if there's a suggestion to the contrary, that there is some kind of conspiracy or something unethical going on, I take issue with that, because I'm proud of that plan the council passed, because we did come together as a council and we had a big impact on this county.
And one more thing I have to say, for those in the audience or out there who implied, where did this money go? No one knows where it went. I see every week articles in the newspaper. I see the Times Leader, I see pictures, I see some of us in those pictures where the article details where the money went, how it was spent, who received it, and what nonprofit it is, the name of the nonprofit, and what do they do for the community. Those have been in the paper week after week after week. And for someone to say, no one knows where that money went, well, I don't know what else we could do other than visit these nonprofits, put it in the paper. I have no idea what else we should do.
Yeah, also it's public knowledge, it's on the website. We had several, actually dozens of public meetings about where the money was going. They were all public, our work sessions were public, several versions of the list were public. Mr. Mitchell's plan, that so many people refer to it as, that was part of our agenda items. It was posted online, it was really everywhere. That's how the money was awarded. It's very transparent, and that money is being tracked very closely through a grant reporting process. So, you know, every cent we, you know, Booth and the administration sees how that money is being spent on.
One more correction too, not everybody voted to raise taxes either. Because I know I didn't vote to raise them.
Yeah, you also did submit an amendment. Do we have any other members of the public? Sure, Ms. Roper.
Nina Ropa, Kingston Township. I just want to echo what is being said about these videos for the drop boxes. I think it's a shame. I have been sitting at the election board meetings like last month, and several of the members like, I don't want to sit all there. I don't want to sit and watch all them. I don't want to sit all them, watch all them. So some of us do want to sit and watch all them. I mean, if they're not going to do their jobs and do it, and why all of a sudden is it a big secret what is on these was it on these videos? I mean, why can't we the public see them? If it's our government, why can't, you know, why aren't they open? And to spend money on a you know, Philadelphia, is there an answer to that question? Like why is this happening? Like, why is there a lawyer being called in rather than allow these videos to be, I don't know, seen? I just wanted to say that. And if there's an answer.
Right now, we don't have an answer, Ms. Ropa.
Okay.
We were made aware of it, I believe, at a prior meeting, and then again, it was brought to our attention tonight. And we spoke earlier. You weren't in the room at the time. I don't know if you were out there.
I was out there, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have an executive session to discuss it, so we get all of the information.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you. Any other members of the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions, opposed, meeting's adjourned at 7:08. Let's start at 7:15 for the work session. Mute yourself.
Recording stopped.
Go.
Ready?
All right, 7:21. I'm calling the work session to order. We already did the Pledge of Allegiance and over sounds. Can I have a roll call,
Recording in
please?
progress.
Mr. Venus.
I am still here.
Mr. Liscavige.
I'm still here too.
Lombardo.
Here, still.
Ms. McDermott. Mr. McKinley.
If I'm there, I shouldn't be.
Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Here. Mr. Perry.
Here.
Mr. Thornton.
Here.
Mr. Urban.
Here.
Mr. Willoughby.
Present.
Vote. Here.
Any additions or
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions, opposed, agenda is adopted. Now, by nodding your head, everybody here, can we agree to try to be done? It's 7:22. Let's aim for 8:30. Nod.
What time's
Everybody nod.
Extra points.
As soon as we can shoot for 8, but I don't know. I thought I was being generous by 8:30. Okay, we'll move to number 1, receive and discuss budget reports for September 2023. She's running.
Okay, 11 o'clock. The September budget reports are included in your packet. I did give you a correction to the treasury report, which you received today, because there was a typo on the original one, so you should have a schedule. Through September, our revenues are at 86%, our expenses are at 61%, which is consistent with where we were last year. County brought in $789,000 in real estate taxes in September. To date, we received 170 million, which is 95% of what our budget revenue number is. Real estate taxes kind of slow down, for the months of September, October, we should pick up again in like December. ARPA interest that we earned in 2023 through September is $3.2 million. In September alone, the county earned $384,000 in interest for the ARPA funds. And that should start, we're gonna start seeing that go down a little bit as we're obviously spending the money. So we're gonna see a little bit less interest there. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. You can email me as you go through your reports.
Perfect, thank you. Is Jonathan still back there? Jonathan, can you email Leanne McDermott a link for this to jump on? She had to leave. Okay, yeah. She just texted me. I'm sorry. Okay. Number 2, discussion regarding resolution to lease office space at 40 North Church Street, Hazleton, from the city of Hazleton. Manager Kokomo?
Sure, and I'll have Jennifer Ford come up to the podium. Just by way of history, I live in the southern part of the county, so I'm very connected to it, and I understand the challenges that individuals in the southern part of the county have for various filings and business that they have in the county. My original thought when I became county manager, this springs from being at a viewing where 4 people came up to me and said, when am I going to be able to buy gun permits in Hazleton? And I said, I'll work on it. And I did, and I thought about it. I talked to Mr. Report about it. And then I've been practicing law for over 30 years. It's hard to believe sometimes, but I remember when I first started as a young lawyer, I would do filings on Broad Street in what I'm going to call people in the southern part of the county probably still call the post office, which Senator Arnold has his office and Representative Waldrop has his office there. And I do have friends who are lawyers from the southern part of the county, and they indicated to me that it'd be really great if we could go back to the future and be able to have what I'll call the row offices, because I've been practicing law for 30 years at the in Hazleton. It came kind of serendipity in a way. I have a discussion with the mayor, and the mayor says he's moving the police department outside of City Hall, and I thought it would be really, really good to have the row offices and have a presence in Hazleton at City Hall, where residents can actually do their city business and do their county business at one time. We met numerous occasions. Mr. Core really did a lot of the legwork on this. And it evolved into something bigger. We're going to have the assessor's office there, the treasurer's office there. I will have an office there. The public defender's office will be there as well. And then I meet up with a probation officer who indicates that the probation office does testing in the basement of the Broad Street Exchange building, which we own, and it's occupied with leases. And they're in the basement, and there's one ingress and egress. When they're doing the testing, whoever is waiting in the waiting area has to walk down. The entire group has to walk down to the area where they're doing the testing, which is way in the back. And then they have to bring everybody back to the waiting area, which is dangerous. So I reach out to the courts. You want to put, we're talking to the mayor. Maybe you can bring probation with us into City Hall. That expanded to the courts wanting to use a portion of City Hall for what's called Central Court. You have Central Court here. The magistrates in the southern part of the county do not participate in our Central Court up in here on River Street. So we can have Central Court there. I can tell you, since there has been an announcement, I've been getting messages from police officers saying that they really, really appreciate having Central Court at City Hall. And then the idea is to move where Magistrate Zola's office is into City Hall as well. That the courts, but for probation, the courts, that plan has to be approved by the administrative offices of the Pennsylvania courts. Don't necessarily believe that there's going to be any objection to that, but that portion is still, they need to get approval. So that's how this evolved. Mr. Core is here to talk about details. I think it's long overdue that the citizens in the southern part of the county, and I hope you know, I'm not saying the lower part of the county, I'm saying the southern part of the county, because it's not lower, it's part of Luzerne County. And they've waited long enough for services to be there and be accessible. So, Mr. Core, you want to offer some particulars?
Well, I've received a lot of positive feedback from residents in the southern part of the county since the announcement had gone out earlier in the week. I do have a floor plan drawn up of the square footage and what the cost for the space would be for the courts, judicial services, probation, and the row offices. So I can provide that to you in a breakdown. I did have that. I thought I had that scanned in the packet. But I do have those numbers, and we can go over those if you have any questions. The space isn't 100% set in stone, so we may end up moving some of the offices to different spaces just to see what the most accommodating it would be for all parties involved. I am waiting on some quotes from IT and give some quotes from the sheriffs for sheriff security down there and to redo some of the IT infrastructure. So that may be a little bit costly, but we are working with the courts on the specifics of those costs, and when they are ready, we can bring this back to you to present. The cost of the lease was included in the proposed 2024 budget.
And I can tell you, I met with Mr. Rabo over the weekend. He suggested with the former St. Joe's Hospital. Obviously, that's a possibility, but it's not a possibility now. For too long, the county has waited and dragged its feet to do certain projects. And I really recommend that council will bring you all the information, but the citizens of the southern part of the county deserve to be recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Scavenge?
I think this is a great idea because I think they do deserve their representation down there. So I'm all on board with that. All I ask is, I think it should go before their council to approve this before it comes to us.
Well, I'll talk to the mayor about that. I have to be honest with you, I don't really know about the particulars of Hazleton City politics, but we will talk to the mayor.
Yeah, I mean, because I know when we were on council, right, Brian, we rented space to Luzerne County for the magistrate's office. And we had to pass it on council and approve it. So I'm thinking on the city level, it's probably not much different. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but if,
I'll reach out.
yeah, if they do need to approve it.
Okay. So we worked out some specifics. Some of the other division heads came together as well. Paul, Phil, we went down, the sheriff came with us, so we're going to meet again. And now that we're here, get more information. So as we have that, we'll certainly make that.
Yeah, all I'm trying to do is prevent, a black eye that gets put before us and they didn't prove it and they had to.
Absolutely.
And then we have to table it. Be much better to have a smooth transition.
Yeah, real quick, Ms. Pecora, it's my understanding that the magistrate there now, we're paying, at the county, we're paying, I think, 65,000 a year, something like that,
In that,
ballpark.
I think it's 60 to 65.
And that the plan would be for that magistrate position to move to this other building, which would be substantially less cost.
Yeah, that was
correct?
Correct.
So that would save, in that regard, save a little bit of money for the county.
Jen, is your mic on at the podium? Thank you. Sorry, I got a text from controller Griffin.
Sorry, Walter.
Tell them it is now.
Yeah, I apologize.
I
for
was
interrupting.
just wanted to confirm that would be a savings.
Yeah,
in that
and then we did meet with the courts last week. We're going to be going there later this week with our IT team, sheriffs, to take a closer look at more specifics, and hopefully we'll have some more harder prices that we will have better figures to work.
Thank you.
Which we will bring back to council.
Mr. Urban?
Just that, so with, let's just say people going south, would that also entail consolidation of space up here once that happens?
We're starting, I coordinated a committee to start to look at the county footprint. I was able to operations provided me with the blueprints of all the county buildings. And we even found a type of strategic plan for the buildings, for the county buildings. It's a little dated, but a plan nevertheless. I can say that we are not using our space efficiently. And my goal, our goal, is to bring the light departments or the connected departments near each other, so that people don't have to go from building to building to building. And if COVID taught us something, we really have to use our space efficiently and wisely. I remember being in the midst of it, and I was the chief county solicitor at the time, but we had departments all over the place that were vital and had to be in the buildings. And we could have, if we used the space right, we probably could have closed a building and kept other ones open. But we have to learn from that, and we are. We have priorities met.
Thank you, Ms. Pecora.
One more comment. I just would like to say that we have initially met with the union representatives because these are union positions. So we will be working out details of what that's going to look like for the staff that's going to be going down there. So we just want to ward off any rumors. I've heard some through, the halls, and we just want to keep those at bay. And we are in communications with working with the unions to do this the right way.
And we see no objection.
Thank you both. Next, discussion regarding resolution requesting a statewide local share account grant for the Commonwealth Financing Authority. And then I don't know if you want to loop them together because the other one's in LSA as well.
Well, they're both, we need to have a resolution to make the application, and one is for Oak Hill Road within Crestwood Industrial Park in Wright Township. And the other one is Blytheburn Road, which is in Dorrance and Rice Township. So this is just to give the authority to apply for it.
Council, any questions? Okay, we'll move on. Discussion regarding ordinance amending Article 7 or 6 Administrative Code in accordance with Home Rule Charter of Luzerne County, Pennsylvania.
We're putting this forward, would like to unify and join 911 EMA. We're one of 3 counties that have separate departments. They need to work in tandem, which is what they're doing right now. But we really need to solidify it. And if we unify those 2 departments under one with emergencies management services, we'll be able to actually achieve some savings.
Questions? Okay, we'll move on. Number 6, discussion regarding resolution approving the establishment of a hotline in order to assist Luzerne County's local municipalities with issues stemming from increase in absentee landlords in Luzerne County. Mr. Mitchell?
Oh, yes, thank you, Madam Chair. As I've traveled the county over the past year or so, one complaint that seems to be most common from residents is blighted properties, nuisance properties. And so I did some research, and across the country, some other municipalities, be it county or cities or boroughs, whatever they may be, have established hotlines to take citizen complaints for nuisance properties. So thank you very much to the Office of Law for all their assistance, doing a lot of research on what the county legally can and cannot do. And it seems like this may be the easiest and best way to help our local municipalities lighten some of the load from them, coordinate through our zoning and planning department. A lot of data we can collect can be coordinated with the Blighted Property Review Committee too, once that gets going again, get a citizen representative on that committee. But from what the administration has told me, that we could get this hotline set up and publicize it with little to no cost to the county. We would have to have an employee obviously man the hotline. That employee would also be doing some other planning and zoning duties. So if there's anybody that'd like to discuss it, some ideas on the matter.
Thank you. Great idea.
I just wondered, good idea. Would we be hiring new people to man the hotline?
I mean, that's still under discussion. We've been talking, maybe some current employees maybe will pick up the slack on that, or we might have to hire one person, but they would also have other duties, which they need some help in that department.
All right, so when a call comes in, they have a complaint of something in Exeter, they would call Exeter, and is that the plan?
Yes, and we would coordinate with municipalities and with the Blighted Property Committee. It's just part of coordination. I think my experience is a lot of these municipalities don't have manpower to really know from beginning to end absentee landlords and blighted properties. They know that they're there, but they really can't do anything about it. So we can help them. We can't necessarily go in and enforce any of the ordinances in some of the municipalities, but we can give them an assist.
And, oh, go ahead. Just, I know from when we were in West Pittston, like, the biggest thing is maybe point to their ordinances, because there may be things already on the books to help them, they just don't recognize it.
Right.
Because I know our biggest complaint, one of the biggest complaints was parking. You know, somebody would come in, they take a double block, load into 4 apartments. We had an ordinance that said 2 parking spots off the street per unit. There's not one person in West Pittston who could take a double block and have 8 parking spaces anywhere. So the problem really takes care of itself as long as you know what you're doing, right? So probably in some instances, they just need to go back and look and research, you know, and there's probably an answer there already, because I think people ran across it many times. Right.
Would there be an online component to this as well? I mean, there could be.
Yeah, there could be.
Instead of a form on the website.
Yeah, I think that
That's
was
a good idea, pretty good idea.
Yeah, that's a real good idea.
Yeah, very good.
Anyone else? Okay, we will move on. Number 7, Division 10, moving on to the budget, general government.
As everyone knows from what we talked about last time, you know, there is a balanced budget with a 0% tax increase. I'm going to talk about everything from a division standpoint, with the exception of general government, just because it's county council and the county manager. So I'll talk about those things separately. Everyone should have the one sheets, hopefully that we submitted both by department and for the division of budget and finance. So to start with Division 10, general government, the first one that you should see there is the non-departmental, which is where we have our healthcare costs. And you'll see on the one sheet that there is a proposal to increase the non-union premium contribution for the healthcare from 10% to 11%. So that's the $50,000 change that you see from a revenue standpoint. And then from an expense standpoint, we have the vacancy adjustment, which we talked about last time. So the $520,000 that we have in there for the vacancy adjustment is 1% of the total general fund payroll. So that includes the prison though. So the prison actually did eliminate positions, you know, themselves. Like, so if you look at that and we were to back the prison out of that, it's more like a 1.4%. If we were to look at every single vacancy that exists, actually literally position by position, it's more like $2.1 million. But again, we want to be very conservative. So I mean, do I think we should put a $2.1 million vacancy factor in there? Of course not. You know, like the $520,000 is about 25%. I think that makes sense. So that's what we are proposing at this point. Does anyone have any questions on that department? Oh, okay.
Payroll taxes, that included vacancy.
There were no benefits included in the vacancy
Payroll
factor
tax,
at all.
not
No,
payroll tax.
we did not. No, so all we did was include the salary itself. So there is definitely obviously the employer's portion of the payroll taxes, as well as the benefits, which obviously would also be a savings. But again, we were trying to be super conservative. All we did was look at the salary and left all the benefits alone.
So the $50,000 change, looking at 23 and 24, that's only a $20,000 difference there.
Well, you're looking at total expenses though. Like I'm just showing you the line items that changed by more than $10,000 or 10%.
I was just wondering if that, okay.
Yeah.
I was, you know, looking at the $50,000 change and was wondering if that.
So there were other things that changed by obviously not $10,000 or 10%.
Gotcha.
So on the ones.
That was the cumulative total then?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay. Anything else on that department? Okay. So the next one is the county council. And really county council, there was nothing that changed by $10,000 or 10%. If you look at the changes that occurred, if you were to go through the details of the budget book, it's really just the reduction of meetings and conferences. And then there was recruiting money in there last year for $8,000, which obviously we don't need this year. Anyone have any questions on that? Okay. The last one is the county manager's budget. And that is only increase in salary for, you know, the one person that we have budgeted in that department. The 3 people, I'm sorry, that are budgeted in that department. Do I have any questions on that? Yeah. So then the next one would be budget and finance. So budget and finance, I'm going to talk about from a division standpoint. So that will include the treasurer's office, the assessor's office, you know, every department that's part of budget and finance. So there are some changes there. We do have a $1.2 million increase in our revenue for real estate taxes, and that's because of new construction and an increase in the assessed value of property. We have PIN certs that have gone down by $200,000 or 22% because of real estate sales being, you know, declining obviously since 2021. The prior year real estate taxes have also gone down in our budget by $500,000. And what we did when we estimated those is we went back and we looked at a 5-year trend. I mean, that's elite revenue. So, I mean, we don't, you know, have an exact number there, but we went and looked at the 5-year average, and that's what we budgeted, just again, to try to be conservative there. The interest is increasing interest due to our, you know, the investments that we're making, because now we're investing the funds that we have. And then we also took a look at children and youth. So children and youth is one of our human service agencies where the county does have a match requirement. And we wanted to make sure we were maximizing that. So we worked with them to increase that by $250,000 or 36%, so that we're getting all the revenue that we can get out of the agencies. We also have, from an expense standpoint, some of the major changes were the decrease in contractual services, and that is because of the move that we're going to make for Kronos and New World. So that's a savings of $130,000. And we have an increase for the Hazleton lease. That's the portion that would be related to the budget and finance departments, because we would have the treasurer's office there as well as the assessor's office. So would have any questions on that? I know that judicial records is scheduled to go next, but I do have the other departments that are at the end of that. If you want me to do them now, or do you want me to wait and come back?
Do all of yours, that's
Okay.
great.
Okay, so retirement would be the next one that I would be responsible for, and that is just, you know, one individual. Obviously, we you'll see a change there. Nothing is changing by $10,000 or 10%. And we do have the retirement for that particular individual budgeted with everyone else's retirement now. So that's why you'll see a change there, a very small change. The debt service is, you know, our scheduled debt service. It really hasn't changed. It's about $26 million. The intergovernment. So intergovernment is where we have some of the contributions that we're giving to, you know, individuals like LCC, the Penn State Extension, the library, LCTA, and the Wilkes Institute. So again, really, we've kept it the same as far as, you know, budgeting for those contributions. If anyone has questions about the specific contributions, I can certainly answer those, but we just kept everything at the same level. And then finally, we have the reserve, which is right now sitting at $255,746. Last year it was 245,588, so it's a little bit higher than it was last year. Anyone have any questions on the reserve? Or any other questions I can answer specifically on line items that are in the binder?
That was a typo, right, on that one?
Which one?
Reserve 255,746, you said? It says 4810 intergovernment.
Oh, you mean the title on it should not say 4810 intergovernment, it should be the reserve, yeah. There's a typo on where it says department.
Yes.
Yeah, on the top, it's correct, where it says division of the reserve fund, that's correct, but yes, it was a typo under the department name.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, we just have judicial records.
Good evening, council. Judicial service and records have the same amount of employees as 2023
I'm sorry.
budget.
So could you speak up a little bit, please?
Sure. Non-rep employees in 2023 are 14. They remain the same in the 2024 budget. Represented employees are 86 in 2023 and remain the same in 2024. The highlights of revenues in the different departments, recorder of deeds and register of wills increased the revenues by $154,300 for 2024. $20,000 increase in municipal realty transfer tax, which is a commission we collect on the amount of transfer tax we collect for the municipalities and the 12 school districts. 32,500 increase in commissions is due to considerations on the deeds are remaining at a high dollar amount, which in turn gives us higher commissions. $100,000 increase in fees is based on a 5-year trend. The coroner has decreased revenue of $39,500. Most of that is due to a $100,000 decrease in cremations due to an error in the 2023 budget. We also increased expenses by $60,000 in that department because there are reimbursements related to opioid deaths available. We can bill for what the time our employees are spending on autopsies, toxicology, and calls. Prothonotary clerk of courts is a $30,000 decrease in revenue. Most of that is $5,500 decrease in copies due to increased monthly subscriptions. 2 years ago, we put in subscription plans that a lot of attorneys have taken advantage of, where they pay so much a month and then they get to have as many copies as they want. We did know that that would probably decrease our revenues, but it's a service. We also had $35,000 expense reimbursement removed for sending employee over to our domestic relations building due to it being general fund to general fund. Sheriff and security, their revenue remained the same. Record storage, their revenue remained the same. On the expense side, deeds and wills increased $6,467. The highlights of that are $7,000 decrease in overtime due to all of our positions being filled. $4,000 decrease in conference and training. We moved conference and training in both deeds and wills and prothonotary and clerk of courts to our archive and improvement accounts after a review from the Office of Law deemed that we could do that. $12,672 increase in wages represented due to collective bargaining and a $2,800 increase in rent of buildings for the Hazleton office. Coroner decreased their expenses by $8,008. $5,000 decrease in wages on call due to least frequent use, and $5,000 decrease in overtime due to a non-exempt employee applying for an exempt position. So in other words, that did not decrease the amount of hours that the field staff is working. It's just we're no longer paying overtime because both employees are now exempt. Prothonotary and clerk of courts had a $7,575 increase in expenses. The highlights of that are $3,000 decrease in office supplies based on usage, $2,000 decrease in freight and express. That is funds we put in last year because building and grounds did not have the staff to move the records to record storage. So we were paying a moving company. The Office of Law also came back with an opinion that we could pay that out of our automation accounts, so we moved it to there. $2,800 increase in rent for buildings for the Hazleton office, and the $2,900 decrease in conference and training that we moved to automation. Sheriff and security had a $55,000, $364 increase in expenses due to a $79,673 increase in wages representative due to collective bargaining, $4,000 increase in rent of buildings for the Hazleton office, a $10,000 decrease in overtime due to their vacant positions being filled, and a $26,000 decrease in clothing and uniforms due to the removal of vest purchases that were necessary in 2023. Record storage, the increase in expenses is very minimal, mostly due to the increase put in for the one employee, non-rep employee in that department. If you have any questions for the individual departments, they are here to answer anything.
Council, any questions? No, thank you, Ms. Horvath.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then I believe Mr. Rozell touched on all four that were left after judicial records, so we are good. We have public comment. Greg Griffin?
Greg Griffin, Swoyersville. The citizens of southern Luzerne County, oh, this is agenda item 2. The citizens of southern Luzerne County need a more accessible county government. There's no doubt about that. It's hard for them to access a lot of the county services. There's a mountain, there's bad traffic, there's bad weather. So it's definitely a good idea to lease space on North Church Street. $72,000 a year, $720,000 for 10 years. So I don't know how the conversation went with Mayor Cassatt and the manager. Mayor Cassatt said, I want $7,200 a month. And, you know, did the manager say, yeah, okay. Or how about the manager saying, how about 6,000, since we have a mutual benefit here to benefit the city residents and the citizens of southern Luzerne County, and not $7,200. So the citizens deserve a more accessible government in southern Luzerne County. But $7,200 a month, I just hope council will look at it and say, you know, Mayor Cassatt, how about a better deal? It's taxpayers' money. It could cause a tax increase. So that's what's troubling to me is like $7,200. Yeah, okay, let's give it to them. So I'm hoping council will look at it and say, let's get a better price, because we are helping Mayor Cassatt's Hazleton citizens. It's a mutual benefit. Also, we need to bring back roving council meetings like you did before. The citizens of Hazleton, I've been down there very frequently in the last couple of weeks. They've been deserted by the county. They can't make it up to these council meetings. It's winter sometimes, there's bad roads, there's senior citizens that can't drive at night. We need roving council meetings again, where you could, a couple times a year, council goes down to Hazleton and holds a council meeting, or to the far reaches of other parts of Luzerne County. You can't just say, hey, we're here, we're the government, come see us. If you don't, go on Zoom. A lot of people have trouble with Zoom. So bring back the roving council meetings and get a better deal from Mayor Cassatt. Come on, it's the county money. $7,200 a month when we're helping the mayor out.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin.
Depending on council to do this.
Mr. Rabel?
Yeah, about, I listened to the presentation by the manager and Ms. Pecora. And as I said to the manager and Ms. Pecora earlier, I think this is a great idea in terms of having services. In fact, if some of the council members who were here, like Mr. McGinley and Mr. Urban, could understand, when the court leases were being discussed, negotiated, and voted upon back in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, 2015, 2016, Hazel Township magisterial office, Magistrate Dixon's office, was used to issue gun permits from 2015 to 2019. And Sheriff Shumsky, I believe, is around. He could correct me if, or the sheriff's deputies that are present can correct me if I'm wrong. But, you know, and if I recall correctly, it was pulled because of the COVID outbreak, that the sheriff's deputies was pulled because of the not being able to send them at the time. And I believe it was under Manager Pedri, I believe, or if I'm not mistaken, who sent the sheriff's deputies down there for every Monday, if I'm not mistaken, for gun permits to be issued. So that being said, that's a historical note that needs to be made, that there has been gun permits in the past, but it was pulled. And I think that logistically and legally, in terms of the city council, needs to be appraised on this, because as Manager Kokomo said about Central Court, I do believe they want to put, and they were, the council, city council members were appraised, I think, said that it was the auditorium or the council chambers, the city council chambers would be used as Central Court. And no one notified city council until Friday about the move. So I think there needs to be, in the spirit of intergovernmental cooperation, there needs to be notification. On the idea of the hotline, I commend Mr. Mitchell, and I would ask the Mr. Mitchell and the manager to also consider having the district attorney linked in with this hotline, considering the fact that out-of-state property owners are mostly, responsible for any code avoidance issues. And I believe, Mr. Vice Chair, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Pittston City, there was an issue about that with an out-of-state landlord who refused to, I believe, pay his code violations, if I'm not mistaken. So, and that's under Act 90. The previous district attorney and the solicitor of Hazleton City, we had the same issue and we used Act 90. And if we had a hotline, that would have worked out well. So I asked to.
Thank you, Mr. Abel. Any other members of the public that are here that wish to speak? If not, we just have Controller Griffin with his hand up on the Zoom.
Yes, good evening. I just have a couple of items that I just wanted to address with council. First of all, the general government budget, council needs to address the issue that the ACE Commission does not have a budget. I tried to raise it at the ACE Commission meeting. I raised it last year for council to consider. I seriously hope that the council will consider providing money for the ACE Commission so we could function and pay our attorneys instead of taking the money from the solicitor's budget to pay those bills. As I stated before, that's a division to division transfer. To pay the Division 16, take the money from Division 16 and pay Division 10 finances is not a good practice. And unless we do it properly through a budget amendment or budget transfer, that is not the right way to do it. Council needs to tell the commission to draft a budget and get it to you for approval, or at least allocate money to the ACE Commission so they can in fact function with their own money instead of using a solicitor's budget. The second item is on the hotline that Mr. Mitchell brought up, is we have a property in Wilkes-Barre City on Cole Street that has a shooting every month. We had a cooperation agreement between Mr. Pedri and the city at the time when we had this issue, and that was back probably 5 years ago, where we were going to clean up that property and try and make it safe for the people of the city of Wilkes-Barre. That never materialized. Now we want to talk about a hotline. I get it. These things are all great ideas, but they need to be followed up on and followed through with. The ability for us to have these amount of shootings in that area is uncalled for and certainly doesn't make the people of that area safe, number one. And we were promised at a council meeting when I was on council, a developer came and promised this council that they were going to build a new set. They're going to put big fences. They were going to clean up that property. They were going to make it safe. We received nothing so far. I think we need to follow up on that so these people on Cole Street can feel safe in their own neighborhoods and eliminate some of that high crime area that we're dealing with. Work with the mayor, whatever we have to do, but we need to fix that. And the last thing on my agenda is Mr. Albert for the property at Cole, at the corner of where the train station is. Someone needs to contact him and tell him that needs to be cleaned up. We rent that train station at $3,000 a month, and the corner of that property is filthy. There's paper everywhere. The grass isn't cut. There was a junk car there for months until I think I mentioned something to Division Head Bakora, and she may have reached out because the car has since been moved. But somebody needs to reach out to Mr. Albert and say, you know what, we're renting property there, and we are not getting what we're paying for by having that dilapidated and unsightly mess on that corner. He needs to take care of it. Doesn't take much. a simple lawnmower and maybe pick up some paper. But he needs to be a better landlord if we're talking about blight. Thank you very much. Go Phillies. They're coming on.
Thank you. Any other members of the public?
Yeah, you're old. I didn't know, seriously, and this is killing me, these are coming up. But I do want to thank everybody involved, including the county manager, to present us with a 0% increase on the budget. That's terrific. It makes our job a lot easier. And also, we had a prior manager that sat here with the intent to give us a 20% increase, so congratulations.
Thank you, Mary.
Great work, guys.
Motion to-
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions?
Aye.
Meeting